So I've been recording these short videos for social media to send to Kathy, and I've noticed when I'm recording them, I do this squinty eye thing while I'm talking. Is that the squinty eye thing that used to drive you nuts? Because it was like really judgmental when I would be like, what? With squinty eyes when I'd ask you a question. Is that the same squinty eye thing?
Well, there's more a nose scrunch too.
Can you do it?
No.
No?
I can't. I won't be able to.
Is that better?
I don't
that's
know.
really
I
squinty.
think I think you have to just be in the moment.
You have to be an angry asshole to be able to pull off that face.
Sure. Judgmental.
Judgmental for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry about that. When you're the only one on the recording and you're sitting that close to the camera, you can really see your facial expressions. Throws me off.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I like to squint at people. Hope they appreciate that. Sheri, I made up a rhyme for you. Would you like to hear it?
Okay.
How many cats would a cat hoarder cat if a cat hoarder could hoard cats?
I think I've seen like upwards of 500.
Did you follow the
stories.
rhythmicness that was like
Yes.
the woodchuck?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It was
totally
like a modified woodchuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you call that? It's not like a nursery rhyme, is it? No.
A limerick or a tongue twister.
I don't think it's a
I think
limerick
that
because
one is
limericks are nasty, aren't they? I
I
didn't
don't think all
mention
limericks.
genitalia at all. But something like that?
I think it's like a tongue twister.
Oh.
Which would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? That's like a tongue twister or like a warming up your voice or.
Do you have an answer to that question? I mean,
I said I think for me I wouldn't hoard cats.
what do you mean?
Oh, God.
You love cats, but you do.
I've already said this a bazillion times when you guys as in my family seems to think that I'm just gonna be like the crazy cat lady.
When
with a
I
ton of
go,
cats. I'm not. Cats, I love them. That's a lot.
you seem to have
cats.
a repulsion for the word hoarder. Is there?
But I don't want more than 3 cats.
Do you have a hoarder in your family? Like, do you have a secret tie to the
No,
word that I'm not aware of?
I am saying cats create a lot of stink in the house with the litter boxes. I love them, but I don't want to have that many to be responsible for scooping.
Okay.
So I think it's a terrible situation, like when there are animal hoarders.
Okay, well, let's not stick to the number. Let's stick to your love of animals. Not just you, Sheri. People love their animals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something that has gotten my attention, really, since we started Echoes and I got to see people's reaction to other people's cats on a Zoom screen, you being one of those people.
And the dogs.
And I'm like, oh my, dogs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs every bit as much as cats. I just probably say cats because that's what we live with. But yeah, it's like I've really started paying attention to it as someone who doesn't have that, bone in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really interesting. And the love, it seems to me, is an unconditional kind of love. The cat can purr, the animal can run to greet you, the animal can lick your face, it can sit in your lap and you're going to love it, right? But also, that animal can shit on your floor and refuse to eat the new expensive food you buy it, and you're still going to love it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I think people do, and they do very well, and they have a lot more cats. I know my level of laziness, and I am comfortable with admitting it.
Okay.
So I can see, but I can see why, that those things can happen. And let me just tell you, we got new carpet not too terribly long ago for our downstairs family room. I'm not kidding you, within the first week, a cat literally was like herking in the stone floor hallway on the stone tile and like looked at me and ran to the carpet.
Yeah.
To throw up.
But you still love him. And that's
yes,
my point. So,
because that's just what they do. It's not like you can train or control that.
But explain that unconditional love to me. If I do something shitty to you, there are consequences.
Because you're human, and you can be trained. You don't have like real animal instincts in a way, sorry, you're a prefrontal cortex. You know what's right and wrong. They're just doing what's natural. I mean, yes, you can train animals to a certain extent, right? But also, I mean, it's probably if you did something wrong, like if you shit on
Like
the
if I shit on
floor,
the floor, yeah.
probably you've done a bunch of other shit. Not just literal, but a bunch of other stuff that's made
Like drinking a bunch of alcohol.
made me annoyed. It doesn't. I mean, honestly, I don't even think it has to be an addiction. It can be a, maybe a personality.
There's a personality that shits on the floor.
No, a deficit. Like, God, maybe I should have had more coffee before having this conversation with you. No, like there's other crap and other bad behaviors that you do.
Yeah.
That might make you not receive unconditional love. Plus, I chose a partner.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think one of the things I've heard you say in the past, tell me if this is true. Like the word intent. Like if the cat shits on the floor or doesn't eat the fancy new food you buy, a cat isn't setting out to hurt you.
Cat.
Yeah. Whereas if I do that, I think I'm hearing you say with my prefrontal cortex, I should not do that. I should know better. And so the intent to not hurt you is not there.
Yeah. Like, here's an example.
Okay.
I said, this is the specific kind of cat that I want to look for.
Okay.
At the rescues and the shelters. I wanted a tuxedo cat,
mm-hmm.
and I wanted it to be a big, fat tuxedo cat.
Okay.
And not a kitten.
Hey, you're body shaming there, but okay.
Well, they're just so cute. But, and when we found him, he was 9 or 10 months old. He wasn't fat then, but he immediately got fat.
We fixed that.
We fixed that. He got fat right away. But he's also like a big cat, like tall and long. Okay, so I knew what I was looking for.
Yes.
I didn't know his temperament because he was going to be a cat.
Right.
And you don't know the temperament of them.
Yeah.
For the most part.
So you don't buy all those Instagram videos that say orange cats are just...
No, because every orange tabby we've ever had has been wonderful. So I refuse to say that the ginger cat crazy thing is true.
Okay.
But when I like shopping, I guess, or choosing a partner, like there were certain things that I noticed in you that were good qualities that check marked a few boxes. Because, we were young and in college. I didn't even know really what I wanted. But the major ones, you check marked that. You seemed good on paper. And
you ignored the red flags, thankfully for me.
Yeah, because I wasn't really aware that they were red flags because there was a lot of the red flags that I had already grown up and knew about the red flags.
Sure.
But there were,
You had been conditioned to accept a lot of those red flags.
So when you and I met and we had this connection, we had time together, there wasn't as many red flags.
Little spark, little chemistry.
There was...
Little sizzle.
There was certain things that you did that were appropriate and, so I felt like I knew your temperament. Mm-hmm. I knew what I was getting into. I felt like I knew what I was getting into.
Mm-hmm. Had you snowed.
Yeah, that's true. So you met this certain criteria, being a human and being a boyfriend. So you're kind of you're in a different category than a pet. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. Yes and no.
And also, I don't have to love you unconditionally
totally.
Because our love is conditional.
Yeah.
You can't act like an asshole. You can't throw your plate off of the table, like push it off of the table because you don't like it. You can't shit outside your litter box.
Okay, because I should know better on all these things.
Because you should know better.
And a cat shouldn't know better.
I can tell you, I can say, these are things that are hurtful to me. These are things I do not like. This is not the environment I want to live in.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you can spray your cat with a water squirt gun, to get off the counter.
Right.
You can do that over and over, but eventually the cat's going to get it. And if your partner doesn't, well, then they need to get kicked to the curb.
Well, a minute ago,
I would still keep a cat and still walked on the counter.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't allow you to walk on the counter.
No, because I should know better.
Right.
I said the word intent, but I think you you should know better. I should know better is a better way to describe it. I think you're right. Because of that prefrontal cortex I got.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I use it or not, that is another story. A minute ago I said yes and no. I did not mean to say that. Yes and yes. You're absolutely right. Your description is perfect. I love it. I think we should tell everyone, because I think we've got a pretty sizable number of listeners that know your orange tabby's name is Gordon.
Mhm.
And Gordon's, he's mature. He's getting on in years.
He's a little long in his one tooth.
He's long in his one tooth. And he has been banned from the front yard because we live very close to a very busy street. And he has, he's not showing the most excellent discernment as he did earlier as far as how close to the busy street he
Maybe
gets.
his depth perception and his timing and his gait is a
He
little
also-
off as he's
Yes, sir.
with his one eye trying to cross him. And he also doesn't stay in the yard anymore.
He also used to move when he was in the driveway and you drove the car toward him. Now he just sits there and stares at you like, what are you going to do about it?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's not allowed in the front yard anymore. He has to stay in the fenced-in backyard. But talk about, I know how much you love your cat and how you can condition animals to behave in certain ways.
Well,
He knows he's not allowed on the front porch anymore. So he will come out and just sit on the doormat, the wipe your feet doormat on the front porch, and just sit there and enjoy being outside, because he knows if he takes a few steps toward those steps, he's going to get chased back inside.
And it only took him like 5 times. He is the best cat ever.
I mean, he should train alcoholic men. He should train former alcoholics how to
Don't cross
learn
this
their
line.
behavioral responsibility. Like, it's amazing. I'm like, dude, I would not have figured that out so fast. And he just looks at me and shakes his head and squints his one eye at me and just, he can't believe how much smarter than me he is, even as he is long in his one tooth. But yeah, it's pretty awesome, because now we can leave the front door open, so that, because the other cat, you can't shut the front door behind him or he freaks out.
The other cat.
Fred.
Yeah, your cat.
He's not my cat, it's your cat. But anyway, problem solved thanks to the smartness of cats, which I envy. Okay, that's enough of that. Listen, I am far from done with my mission to clarify what is and is not unconditional love. So trying to create examples and stories, I think, is the best way to get the message across. And a story about your cats is something that I know at least a segment of our listening audience will really love and relate to. So, but even though I'm not done with my clarification about unconditional love, let's leave it at that for today. That's enough about it for now. Let's go into part 2 of our series, cleverly and creatively titled Questions for Sheri. Sheri.
Did you come up with that clever title?
Well, sometimes I try to be kind of like clickbaity with titles, put words in there that I think will grab people's attention. But because I talk so much too much, some people would say, I think anytime that it is clear from the title that you're going to do most of the talking, we're going to see a higher rate of listenership from this episode. Already,
Well,
I am destroying that, because I'm 10 to 1 over your words.
Your voluminous and vast vocabulary.
I have not had a shortage of caffeine today. Go ahead.
I've just watched training videos this morning. So
Oh, sounds like fun.
So I just want to clarify, when you ask the question, is it going to be one question, or is it going to be a normal Matt Salish, Jason Bateman question with like a ton of other options within the question? Or is there going to be room for me to expand instead of yes or no?
Definitely room for you to expand. These questions were taken from listeners, from longtime listeners, and we appreciate them sharing them with us. If you, current listener, long time or short time, don't care, if you would like to ask a question of Sheri, I'm sure there will be another version of this, because we still have like 100 questions to get through. Please email your question to matt@soberandunashamed.com. You might be thinking, why don't I email those straight to Sheri? Why do I have to go through you, Matt? Why are you the fucking filter? Why is the patriarchy so dominant on this podcast?
Why are you the gatekeeper?
Why am I the gatekeeper? I'm going to give you 2 reasons, listener.
I don't want to be the gatekeeper.
That was it. Reason number 1. I could explain Sheri's inbox to you, but I'm not going to. But there is a chance that your question would never see the light of day. So go ahead and send it to me. and I am OCD. I have some problems. I have some mental health problems, which mean your question will be stored safely in a file that I have created. So that's one
digital
reason.
file.
Yeah.
Mine just stay all in my inbox.
Now, don't take that as a criticism.
I know.
It's
You and I have different organizations.
That's right, and I applaud yours. I'm actually jealous of yours because I don't think you stress as much as I do.
I do answer my emails.
You do. You are good. You are good. And reason number 2 to send them to me is because you're so good on your feet. You're so good with answering questions off the top of your head. That is a skill and a talent that you possess. And so we don't want our listeners to be shortchanged by having you had a lot of time to think about the answer. We want the gut reaction because really a big part, to be honest for a second, big part of what we try to do with the Intoxicated podcast and with the programs that we run is help people understand that they should trust their instincts over their insecurities. And so we really do want to get your instincts on things. And when you think about a question for 2 weeks and then you give an answer, that's not your instincts. We want that gut reaction. So stop reading the questions over my shoulder. Okay. I'm going to try to talk very little other than the ad reads for the rest of this podcast. Sheri, first question. How many cats would a cat hoarder cat if a cat hoarder could hoard cats? Okay, let's skip that one. Next question. Did you have a rock bottom moment?
I think I've had a few rock bottom moments. I guess, I think we've told this story before, but the rock bottom moment when I realized that I needed help for for healing myself in your sobriety and early sobriety, was during the spring of the COVID shutdown. We were cleaning up the house. Everybody was out doing yard work. You and I have never been one that gets along well and does a job together well, because you have your way that's set in stone and it's right and you're controlling about it, and everybody else has their way, which gets the job done.
Would you like me to get defensive about that right here?
No.
Good, because I'm not going to.
This isn't titled Watch Matt Get Defensive.
It's not. I'm going to keep
Defend his OCD.
My lips are sealed. I have no feedback for you other than, please go on.
Long story short, you told me to use a plastic bag when it was like yard waste, but I was using one of the paper bags from the hardware store that you put the leaves in, and I was like, it's leaves, and I know there's not collection, but at least it will break down in the trash, because we didn't have composting at that time, or we probably could have borrowed one of our neighbors' compost, but God forbid we borrow anything from anybody else and use somebody else's stuff. You've gotten a tiny bit better about that. But so I was like, I was just done. And you were well into sobriety. Things were getting better, but I realized I can't stand, and that was like resentments from all those years of controlling. So that was a rock bottom moment, because I lost my shit in front of the yard, in front of the kids, and I really wanted to somehow figure out a way to impale you with a really weak timed rake. But that was one.
Do you remember, you mentioned there that I was not very good at asking for help? I think that's a common trait among alcoholics. Mm-hmm. I mean, not just asking for help with our alcoholism. I mean, that's a huge
But asking, or you needed to be an island. You needed us to be so independent and have that outward appearance that we don't need help from anybody, whether it's just borrowing their freaking compost bin to do the right thing environmentally, or to borrow, their washing machine because ours is broken. I remember you would be horrified about anything like that, any crack in the facade that shows we didn't either A, able to afford everything, B, have everything, or C, everything in top condition. So
for the 15 years that we owned a bakery together, the stereo was way down a hallway in the back room, far away from the main bakery area.
But
and
it was
sometimes
there because of all the flour.
Right. I mean, there was reasons. But sometimes when I was being particularly stubborn about doing it my way and not wanting any help and I'll just do it myself, you used to go back and play that song. You would blast it through the stereo speakers. What's? Do you remember who it is? All by myself.
Oh, that's
but what's it called?
great.
I wanna be all by. Right?
I think it's I don't want to be all by myself.
Oh, really?
Is the lyric.
Is that the song you play though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it is.
Yeah. Well, it's lonely being unwilling to ask anyone for help. And I should know.
Yeah.
And you were good at reminding me.
Well, and I mean, I just want to finish there is another rock bottom moment.
Let's hear the other one.
And I'm kind of like twisting between two, and maybe it wasn't a rock bottom moment, but it was a rock bottom realization.
Okay.
And I'm going to go back to the belabored story of my 40th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
We had gone away for the weekend. We argued all weekend. You were still heavy into drinking. You surprised me with organizing childcare for sleepover childcare. You did everything right. You really didn't tell me where we were going. We got stuck in traffic as we're heading out to the mountains, and this is in the middle of August. Got stuck in traffic, and you were just pissy because you just really wanted to get to our destination. You had gone out of your comfort zone and borrowed a friend's condo in the mountains.
Well, the price was within my comfort zone.
And they really liked me, so I'm sure they were probably like, please use that because your wife could really use some fun.
Yeah.
So you did all that, but I could tell that you did not want to be with me in the car, like conversations, trying to sing together, silly songs on the radio, you were just really wound for sound. And first night we get there, it was just a mess, like arguing. Everything was pretty much a mess. I remember I kept trying to be playful, and the end of the weekend it was just awful. The rock bottom realization, because we had talked off and on for years even before this about if I quit drinking everything will be okay. I remember standing at the foot of our bed and I said, there are so many other problems besides just the alcohol. And that's when I knew the damage that had been done by alcohol, but I also didn't know how much damage alcohol had done to you when you were even just a secondhand drinker as a child, like what it did to your brain and your perception of alcohol, and the way you glorified it and the way you were identifying with it. And then all those little like cuts and digs and how it was making your anxiety worse and how it was making depression worse and your OCD worse. So like I didn't know all that I didn't know, but that was the realization of, yeah, there's a lot more problems than just quitting drinking and being sober.
So you said it out loud, almost like it felt to me like you were explaining something to me, but really it was just an epiphany that was coming to you at that time too. So it was a realization that you blurted out basically.
Yeah, because I was like, oh my God, I didn't like you at all. So, pardon me. So that was one of the realizations. Like I could have thought of 10 other people I would have rather gone to spend the weekend in the mountains in a condo over you.
I want to push back on just one thing. You're right. I was a pain in the ass in the car in the traffic. But you said I didn't want to be with you. It wasn't that I didn't want to be with you. At our destination, once the car was parked, I could have beer and I could potentially have sex. And those were the two things I was anxious about. It wasn't that I didn't want to be with you. I just wanted to have the car parked because I still had some standards at that time, and I wouldn't drink an IPA driving down I-70.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, well, you wouldn't have had sex driving down I-70, so I knew that was not a possibility.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, absolutely, I think it's really interesting that you have two rock bottom moments. One of them is during active addiction, and the other one is well into my recovery. But both just big light bulb epiphanies for you, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, there was like a rock bottom argument moment, I recall. Pardon me. Where, this is gonna make me cry. Where it was one of those stupid Sunday nights when you were drinking and you were just lamenting your life and how hard it was to have to go to work on Monday, even though we owned our own business and we had kind of like chosen this lifestyle. Like, it's not like we just fell into this hard luck situation. And you were just feeling the Monday blues so badly. And there was an argument, and you had drank pretty heavily throughout the afternoon and early evening, well beyond your limitations or your limited amounts, your rules. And I'm not proud to admit it, but I just wanted you to leave me alone. I didn't want to talk you to talk to me. I just wanted you to pass out. And all the kids were asleep and in their beds. And I crawled out our bedroom window and I got in the car, and I don't know how you didn't hear me getting the screen out. But I remember like going and getting the keys from where my purse is usually kept and being real sneaky about it. And I just needed to just have you leave me alone. And I know it wasn't like I was gonna leave forever. I just needed to leave to get out of the house. And it wasn't a situation where I felt like I needed to wake the kids up and sneak them out. And you called me and I said, I'm just going for a drive. Just leave me alone. I'm going for a drive. And you're like, you're so emotional. Get back here. And you're screaming at me. And I'm like, well, just stop calling me. Let me pull over. I'll calm down and I'll come back. And then you just called and texting. And I was like, you fucking idiot. Like I just said, leave me alone. Let me be. And then you went in and you woke our daughter up and put her on the phone. And I think she was about in the 7th grade or something. And you made her tell me, and she was so scared, and she still has like this vision and this worry that I was like leaving forever. So you planted in our daughter that I was running away and leaving her and her brothers with you, which I would have never done. There's no way in hell I would have ever left them. Yeah. So that was when I was like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. Maybe it was even when she was older, like in 8th grade. Because it wasn't too much longer after that you had kind of like really reined your drinking in. And I've always said like the last couple years of your drinking career, you were not nearly as bad. We didn't have arguments the way we used to. But that was one of those moments that I was like, am I going to come back and file for divorce and leave him? Is that what my next step is going to be?
That's awful. That definitely qualifies as a rock bottom moment, as do your 2 prior examples.
And that was my rock bottom moment for like, I have zero respect for him anymore. I do not like him. I'm questioning whether I love him. I don't know what he can do to make and resolve this.
When you're the partner of the alcoholic and not the alcoholic. So the alcoholic's rock bottom moment usually involves some despicable behavior or financial loss or injury or car accident or something. It doesn't always. It doesn't by any means have to, but often it does. It seems to me that in all 3 of your cases, it was crossing a line of awareness, right? Crossing from, oh, this thing is tolerable to this is not at all acceptable. I cannot do this anymore. One way or the other. All 3 of those examples had a piece of that. An awakening. Is that how it feels looking back?
Yeah. Yeah, like my 40th birthday, I realized you don't even know me and you don't have the first clue what I really wanted. And even if you did have a clue, it wasn't on your radar. You didn't care. You had this agenda set for you, and me just going away with you for a weekend and having childcare taken care of, that should have just been enough for you, Sheri. I'm just giving you a little bit of crumbs to make you feel like I'm doing this for you, when really the whole weekend was clearly about you and your intention of just wanting to have endless amounts of sex and endless amounts of drinking without any consequence or responsibilities of the kids.
Yeah, that was the medicinal side of it. It was cloaked in the idea of having fun, and there would have been some fun. Not going to lie about that. But it was very medicinal. It was, when you say, a lot of my really heavy, bad moments were related to those slivers, those little tiny windows where my responsibilities were all covered and I didn't have any direct responsibilities.
Mhm.
So when we were away, basically,
Yeah.
from work and kids. I am so sorry for putting Catherine on the phone, for involving her in that in any way. That was awful. And awful as a parent, awful to do that to you as a partner. And I had no earthly idea of the lasting trauma that would cause her. I mean, that was not something that was even on my radar as a possibility. That's not something I understood back then. The other thing I want to say is, this is so typical for us alcoholics to take the high road. In that moment when you were gone driving and you were emotional, you were crying, I legitimately thought that I was in the right and had the high road by saying, you shouldn't be driving in that emotional state. You are endangering yourself and other people. That's literally what was going through my mind. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not. I know that's very, 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 that is a universalism for alcoholics. If I can find a way that, despite the fact that I've drank myself silly and caused all this turmoil, if I can find a way for your action to be unacceptable for our family or for society, I will be sure to point that out to you. Mm-hmm. Also despicable. You know, if we're ranking the two, I think getting my daughter on the phone that's one of the worst things I've ever done. And that was by far worse. But just making you feel like you were the one that in the wrong. That's the kind of gaslighting that, you know, I didn't do it because I was like, master plan. I did it because I really thought you were doing the worst thing. Me sitting here drinking until I cause chaos and trauma and turmoil, that's not nearly as bad as you driving while you're crying. Despicable. I'm so sorry. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was too much of me talking. Back to you, Sheri. Gonna change gears a little bit. That was very emotional, and I'm really impressed with your answer. The next question, you have a lot of experience with resentment processing. What have you learned about how to initiate addressing a resentment? The question asker really wanted to focus on the word initiate. So don't explain what our resentment processing process looks like. How do you get in there without me blowing a gasket?
Yeah. I think that for me, I have learned to do better with this. Like, if I don't recognize it like right away, that it's a resentment and it comes to me a little bit later, I'll kind of approach it about like, so I've been thinking about some things and I just have some questions and I just need some clarification and conversation with you about it. When is a good time that we can meet? Or like if they're usually not sober or take, I know sometimes they're hungover in the morning, so try to figure out a time that works best for your partner's, like, time of day, good time of day mode, and then maybe suggest that time. But I feel like coming from it, from initiating it, saying, this is something that I've been pondering and I've been feeling or I've been thinking, using those I statements again, then turning it into, I would like to talk to you about it, I'd like to hear your opinion, and including, and then that's kind of like creating a little bit of that kind of connection and making it seem like it's something that's concerning me, you're involved, let's make it a we thing and let's do it together. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. The timing piece, I think that's so interesting because we meet a lot of people who say, there is no window for me to talk to my partner. You kind of alluded to this. Either they're hungover in the morning or they're rushing out the door to work and then they're immediately drinking after work. And maybe often people find their window right there, the beginning of drinking, before they're they're 3 drinks in and then it's over. The window is closed. What do you think about saying to the person, I've got this thing I want to talk to you about. I need some clarification, like you said, easing into it. When would be a good time? What do you think about adding, as a form of detachment, adding in there, because I'm not aware of a good time. That, it's a little passive aggressive, I guess.
I was going to say it's kind of very passive aggressive.
Okay. So not a good idea?
I don't think that's a good idea, because then that's because if they are able to figure out and pick up that passive aggressive, then it's going to bring shame, and then it's going to be defensive.
Okay.
Because if you were to say that to me, even if I'm not the drinker, I'm like, oh, well, like, you don't know my schedule, you can't read my, emotions, like those sort of things. I feel like you should know me as the partner. So I wouldn't say, because I'm not aware of a good time. You could stipulate, say, and I'd really like for it to be a very calm and, you can add in like something about not having alcohol. It's a serious thing. You want to take it seriously because you really want to work on this together. And so you need to be clear-headed, and I need to be clear-headed.
Yeah.
That's why we need to pick a good time.
That's less passive aggressive.
Yeah.
That's actually very caring. Very nice. Sticking with this question asker's emphasis on the word initiate, over time, has it changed for you the degree to which you need to soft pedal, walk on eggshells as you introduce the topic, versus are you now able to be more straightforward and less concerned about, me having some low self-confidence, low self-esteem, defensive reaction?
Yeah, I feel like that's all.
I feel like I'm sucking for a compliment
Yeah.
there. Sorry. Don't mean to.
Yeah.
But I am. Yeah, go ahead.
You sure? So, yes, I feel like I've gotten more confident. Also because so many of the big, sad, emotional issues have been discussed. And these are just things that kind of come up a little bit in the normal, quote unquote, normal marital and romantic relationship issues. So I don't feel like I have to worry about walking on eggshells, simply because they're just not these big, shameful things per se. Now, it's not to say that there aren't things that I'm going to say that maybe hurt your feelings. But I also know that I'm not going to be overly emotional about that. I don't think. So it's not going to raise the level of intensity, because I'm kind of calmer about it, and we're more in a good self-regulating state. Not that it's not going to cause a little bit of emotional harm, or a little bit of, little tiny bit of butt hurt, but it's not going to be nearly the things, because we've worked through those.
Yeah.
Because of years of doing this. Like we had one kind of recently, but I had said like 2 other things in front of it, and then there was another thing, and you're like, oh, well, I'm so glad you finally talked your way into figuring out it was this 3rd item. But it really wasn't the 3rd item, it was one of 3 items that had happened. Some like dismissive behavior that I saw you have. It was all 3. And 1 or 2 was almost tolerable, but the 3rd was kind of the cherry on top. It wasn't the main thing, but it was like, this is like 3 times in a week.
Yeah.
That I felt like within 7 days, that I felt like it was too much. So maybe I should have said something at the first incident, but I figured that was just like one of those, like, you didn't really mean it and I just mistook it. Maybe I was being sensitive. Second one, I felt like he just wants me to like worry about him instead of thinking about me, or he's just trying to get me to move on from a situation that had happened. And then, like I said, the 3rd, it did hold a little bit more weight because it was closer to home, but I just felt like it was 3 times in a week. And that's too much to just let slide. But you said that you feel like it was only because of number 3 that I brought it up to you, because of the weight of that issue. But it was just because it was the amount of dismissive, not the level of dismissive.
Okay.
But, so that kind of annoyed me when I was trying to talk to you about it. And you did great. You were a very good listener.
Oh,
and you were very good at accepting my feedback and my feelings and everything about it. I didn't want you to, I just didn't want to be angry with you underneath anymore.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. Okay, for our next question, we've got a caller calling in. You didn't know this was going to be a live interactive session.
No, I didn't.
Well, let me listen to the caller's question on my Nokia pen phone here. Let's see. This question says, Sheri, is the most frustrating part of doing questions with Sheri when Matt interrupts your answers when you're on a roll? How would you answer that, Sheri?
Sometimes, yeah, because I forget where I'm going.
Okay, well, that's enough
but
of
he
that.
He does that in real life, too. He interrupts any, thing I'm saying, and then he'll be like, oh, wait, what were you saying? And I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I say it passive-aggressively. I don't know, I don't remember anymore.
As much as I try to be a good
Just
listener,
to be a jerk back.
there are times when I suck at it. You're right.
Well, I think we all are like that. I think
Well,
that's human sometimes.
We got to not multitask.
Yeah.
And try to, because that's not good
And
for being a good
multitask,
listener.
but then also knowing when it's a good time to listen.
Thank you for your call. Thank you for your call, caller, on my Nokia pen phone. Does Nokia still exist anymore?
I don't think so. Wasn't that our first phones?
I don't know.
Phones?
I don't know. I had one at some point. More questions for Sheri after we talk to you about our new campaign, listeners. We are sponsored by SoberLink. SoberLink is the premier remote alcohol monitoring system, combining cutting-edge technology with compassionate design to support accountability in recovery and family law. SoberLink recently made a major announcement about how they are marketing their alcohol monitoring system. And today, I am making a major announcement about how we are going to help them promote their products and services. I'm calling it our SoberLink Fits campaign.
Is this in response to SoberLink's new decision to allow new customers pay a monthly service charge as low as $19 per month with a qualifying monitoring plan, rather than paying the big upfront cost to purchase the device?
Yes, Sheri, absolutely. There is no longer a need to plunk down a big upfront wad of cash for an equipment purchase to start experiencing the accountability and trust building of the best-in-class alcohol monitoring system with scheduled testing, not the shove-it-in-your-face gotcha, shame, and resentment incidents like the cheap imitations offer. A monthly service charge just fits with the way we all experience life now. Think about it. Our utilities, our cell phones, our streaming services, even gym memberships and that Cat of the Month Club feline nudie mag you subscribe to, they all charge a reasonable monthly rate with no upfront cost chunks. SoberLink fits. It fits our lives and it fits our modern way of managing expenses.
And it fits because SoberLink has all the bells and whistles. Built-in facial recognition and tamper detection, expert in-house support, email daily, weekly, or monthly reporting, unlimited testing days, and that scheduled testing to build accountability and trust you mentioned.
SoberLink fits. It's not just some huge lifestyle change or massive family situation undertaking. You've already made the decision to remove alcohol. SoberLink just helps you achieve your goal. It fits. SoberLink is offering Untoxicated podcast listeners a $100 enrollment bonus. There has never been a better time to check out SoberLink. Claim your offer ID for a $100 enrollment bonus. There's no commitment required to claim your offer ID while this promotion lasts, and you can use your $100 enrollment bonus when you are ready to place your order. To claim your offer ID, you will be asked only to provide your name and email address. No personal details, no commitment, no credit card number just for later. To claim your offer ID for a $100 enrollment bonus, please go to soberlink.com/untoxicated.
And Matt,
yes,
they're always nude.
Oh, good point. Good point. We are supported by Echoes of Recovery, our think tank of loved ones of problematic drinkers growing, learning, and discovering the lives they deserve together. Just this past week in the Echoes of Recovery think tank, we discussed what an apology really means, and our lived experience experts took a deep dive into how their own feelings about offering apologies have been impacted.
Yeah, we talked about the toxicity of receiving apologies, followed by the repeated bad behavior from their alcoholic, the isolation of never receiving an apology, and the fact that the amends process within the 12 steps leaves amend recipients feeling unfulfilled, unlistened to, and how forced apologies in childhood leave a traumatic mark. and how the fear of apologizing for one thing could lead to the expectation of an apology for everything.
Well said, Sheri. We really are doing deep analysis based on our 523 case studies and counting. We even worked through a case study with teens, how young girls are conditioned to apologize while young men receive very different messaging. We talked about being cycle breakers by conditioning girls to take up space in the world. Our Echoes of Recovery think tank is about a lot more than having a place to process your trauma and grow into a better version of yourself. It is about that sense of belonging that comes from tackling today's issues in a world of both technology and abundance that is unlike any cultural phenomenon as it relates to addiction that humans have ever experienced. We are truly on the cutting edge.
And if you think you might belong with us in Echoes of Recovery, and if you think you might like to help us solve problems and think in unique ways, with simultaneously growing towards the best version of you, please sign up for a free 30-minute video call with Matt and myself. Please go to echoesofrecovery.org and answer just 5 simple questions.
It shouldn't take you a minute to take the first step in becoming a thought leader. If you don't know if you have what it takes, take the first step and see if you belong. Please go to echoesofrecovery.org. Okay, Sheri, this is a tough one. We alcoholics often blame our drinking on our partners. If only you were more supportive, met my needs better, or gave me more sex, I wouldn't need to drink to cope. I say this is tough because I know you nor I would ever give a pass on blaming alcoholism on the behavior of the partner. But as relationships deteriorate, the partners do the right thing and detach, and we drinkers double down and drink more to medicate. So, as this question asker points out, there is a grain of truth to this misplaced blame. How do you recommend people deal with being told that their drinker drinks because of their behavior?
Well, I think that yes, the drinker drinks because they're missing something from the relationship that the alcohol has created.
They have an unmet need.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's because of the alcohol and the alcoholic's behavior. So maybe, yes, they're feeling abandoned by their partner, so they're drinking more. But they don't want to take the accountability and the ownership of if they weren't drinking, if they were working on healing, if they were acting better. So, I mean, I think that you have said that to me in the drinking days. And I don't think I ever had the mindset and the education to say, well, the alcohol is changing you and it's changing me and it's not changing us for good ways. So I think that's one of the reasons we started these groups, and with Echoes of Recovery especially, is to help shorten some of the process of detachment and figuring out these words to say. So if I was ever met with that, I'm drinking because you're not blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I'm not the person I was because your alcoholism has changed me. And I can't be that person that's supportive of you or loving on you or likes you or wants to be in the same room with you or watch a movie with you because you just pass out and then you just grope at me at night. I can't be those people because alcohol has changed both of us and it's turned you into somebody I don't like. So I'm sure you do feel like that. I'm sure you do look at me and think that I'm the blame. But really, look at the bottle,
Well, after all the work that we've done, I see a deeper opportunity for me as the former drinker in your answer. Yes, it's changed you. Yes, you're not attractive to me anymore, is what you were saying to me, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I see in that an opportunity to become attractive again, to get curious and to change my ways. And as we always say, sobriety is not a solution, but it is a prerequisite. That would be step one. And then what kind of things are you looking for in a partner?
Yeah.
You've changed, you've matured, you're older, we've had kids. At this stage in life, what are you looking for? And then I can make the decision, is that something I can be for you or not? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, we go our separate ways. If the answer is yes, then maybe I'm willing to give that a try and see if my improved behavior makes you want to meet my needs.
Yeah. I mean, because I had never known about the brain chemistry piece of it, and thinking of it as the alcohol changing both of us, and that concept of secondhand drinking, until I read a book. And it was like, because for 10 years you and I were pretty open about talking about you becoming sober, and figuring out a path to full-time sobriety. And I wouldn't say you always told me when you were thinking about it, but there were multiple conversations. And so I had a book that I got from the library. It was called If You Love Me, You'd Quit. And I remember reading that.
Is that Melody Beatty?
No.
Sorry.
I
shouldn't have asked you.
Well, maybe we could, yeah.
She's codependent no more, isn't she? Melody Beatty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So what was the title of the book?
Lisa Fredrickson, something with Fred.
What's the title again?
If You Love Me, You'd Quit.
If You Love Me, You'd Quit. Okay.
It's a Matt Salus title. It's If You Love Me, You'd Quit, and then it's like a longer subtitle, I think. But it talks about the brain chemistry, and it talks about secondhand drinking, how, you may not even know if you work with a coworker, you'll be like, this coworker is shit. Like, they don't get stuff done. They're inconsistent. Just talks about the impact on society. And that's when I started to understand, oh, I'm changing too. And I then started to detach, and I was like, I can't let your bad mood ruin me from my good mood, or your gruffness about going somewhere that isn't going to serve alcohol for lunchtime with the kids. I'm not going to let that stop us, because that's what the kids wanted. So that's where, if I was able to take the information I have now and go back and answer this question, I could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Alcohol has changed us both.
Yeah.
And I am not the partner that you want, because I'm not here to support you either when you're drinking and you're boohooing and you're doing nothing to help yourself either. That's not attractive to me. And I don't mean attractive like physically, but an emotionally safe and emotionally attractive partner doesn't need to necessarily run to the gym. But if they were doing things, also, I kind of go back, if they were doing things the right way, and, then there wouldn't be that problem. And gosh, I'm tangling my words. So if this is still going on and alcoholism is out of the picture and there's healing, and you're still not getting along, and they're still like feeling like something's missing, then something is missing and the connection isn't there anymore.
Well, but I think you started to hit on this a minute ago. I'm thinking of your answer from the perspective of the drinker or former drinker, because that's the role I play in our relationship. If I hear you correctly, you are validating what we've heard Esther Perel say, which is, it's unattractive, emotionally unattractive, I like that you use that term, for me to beg you to meet my needs, for me to say, you're not supportive enough, I can't quit drinking because you're not my support system, you don't give me enough sex, you don't give me enough attaboys, you don't just sit and listen to me whine about how hard it is to quit drinking. And Esther Perel says that's wildly unattractive. Mm-hmm. As a partner in a relationship with conditioned love, one of the conditions I need to meet is being able to find my needs for support elsewhere. Yeah, I can occasionally complain to you. I can tell you when I'm not feeling good, but I can't go on and on and on about it because I become unattractive. And so rather than me begging for you to meet my needs, what I'm hearing in your answer is, there are ways for me to fix myself, and then you'll have more of a willingness to meet my needs. Do you agree with Esther Perel that emotional neediness, over-the-top neediness, is unattractive?
Yeah. Because you noticed I was condescending and I said boo-hoo.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like you not being independent and strong enough, and that you need my approval or my support to do the thing that you know is right to do. I hate that. I hate that. Like when you would try to say, you're just not supportive in my sobriety. Yeah. Well, what do you want me to do? I just fucking want you to be a normal-ass human and do the normal-ass dad-husband things and not have a beer in your hand.
And I didn't divorce you for these past 25 years also.
Yeah, so...
That sounds pretty supportive.
I just wanted you to be a functioning
I'm still here.
Human. Yeah, and I just wanted you to be functioning, good human being. I wasn't asking for you to like climb Mount Everest. I mean, the fact that you're like, you're not supportive of me. What did you need my support for? I still have never understood. Like, I'm not gonna say, good job, not drinking this hour, not drinking this day.
I think that's what that means.
And I am like, God damn it, a lot of people don't drink.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like sitting here struggling and I'm struggling and I'm doing my own stuff. You know.
And all the family stuff,
yeah.
and all the shared responsibility stuff.
Yeah. And carrying that emotional burden for the kids. Because whoever the sober partner is carries a lot more of them. If you have children, you carry a lot more emotional burden for that. It doesn't always have to be the female. It's whoever the sober partner is, because they know and they can feel what's going on in the household.
Excellent answer to a tough question. Sheri, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about extended family. So not the nuclear family, not you and I and our kids, but our parents and our siblings, things like that. The questioner asks, Sheri, how did you navigate your expectations of what support from family should look like for you versus the support you actually got once the secret was out and they learned of the level of how bad things were?
Well, with my family having experience with alcoholism with my father and my sister's partners, it's pretty obvious to them, because when we would be together, it would either be vacation or like they would come out here and it would be the holidays. So there was always at least a celebration around a holiday. Or, I know we've had our families out when the kids have been baptized. And so they've seen you overdrink and overconsume. And they can see your behavior deteriorate. Also, there would be bickering that could be heard through the walls around my family. I feel like with your family, larger housing, and I wouldn't go far to say that it was a level of respect. I just stifled it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But they never let on like they knew.
Mm-hmm.
No one really ever said to me and pulled aside and was like, Sheri, up until like a few times when it was really, really bad at your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because it had been a bad night before going in to see your parents and being on that plane. Like the amount you were drinking to medicate from a really horrible fight. So I kind of quickly could see that my in-laws were willing to approach it once or twice, but I never feel like I got anything more out of that. Yes, your parents came out one time to talk to our pastor about having an intervention, and we did not host one. He recommended against that, and you kind of figured out what was going on, but you kind of bullied them and dangling the grandkids as, our kids, their grandkids, as a carrot, that you wouldn't see them anymore if they pursued any sort of real initiative to get you to stop drinking.
The limits to my assholeness are boundless.
And my family often provided support, like, we'll figure it out, we can make it happen. And I know your sister said that to me once, like, we can figure this out, you don't need to stay. But then there was a time that I was like, when we had 4 kids and we were really in a tough financial situation with the bakery because of the government, like the recession, and it was just a terrible financial time for the whole country. It was like, yeah, I'm kind of stuck, and I was told in not so many, I was told in like, quit calling so much about this, it's kind of your problem. And I can't handle this anymore. I can't handle hearing you talk about this anymore. So the secret was out. I feel like I could talk to my family a little bit about it. And they, like especially my sister, I knew she didn't carry the burden and the weight and the worry the way my mom did. So I could talk to my sister. And she and I could both support each other because she was also in an alcoholic relationship. But your family was like, okay, this is enough. Now it's your problem. You deal with it.
One of the things we hear a lot is that what they're looking for in the way of support, the partners of alcoholics, is they don't necessarily want to be told what to do. And when they talk to that immediate family, parents and siblings, they are told, oh, you need to leave, we'll help you, we can support you, whatever, but you need to leave. And I've come to realize that the reason that that's often the advice given by kind of that level of family is because, like, in our case, your mom and your sister love you way more than they're ever going to love me, and that's natural. That's good. That's right. You are their blood. I am married in, and so all they want to do is protect you. And your kids. So if they are suggesting that you need to leave, I mean, for a long time I thought it was because they were more comfortable with divorce because they had experienced divorce. But I don't think that anymore. I mean, maybe there's a piece of that. I think it's more, you're their person. They care about you, and they as quickly as possible, want to get you to safety. And the relationship, the marriage, and me, those are way secondary for them. Whereas when we meet people and they present the situation and they ask for support from us, it's less emotionally driven. We're able to see both sides, and we have all these experiences to tap into when it comes to helping people, like we said, follow their instincts and push down their insecurities, because we aren't just saying things in the best interest of that person or what we think is in the best interest of that person because we love them and we want to promote their safety. And so, looking back, are you able to see some of the advice that you received from family and say, oh, that was because that person just loves me so much? And even though that advice didn't maybe feel helpful or right at the time, I can at least appreciate where it was coming from.
Oh, I mean, from my side of the family, that was like suggesting a separation or divorce. Like, I knew that they were just doing it because that was their intent, right? They just wanted to get me and the kids out of an unsafe and an unemotionally unstable situation.
But that's why that family support, it's tough because it's great to have it. It's great to have people care, but they are too invested to give objective advice necessarily.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why, like, my sister and I could talk about it a little bit more in just a lamenting sort of way, because she was going through it for a second time with her second husband.
Yeah.
And she stayed with him for a very long time, until it just got to be so unbearable. I mean, he wasn't abusive or violent or anything. He was just a recluse type of drinker. And she's a very outgoing person and socializing. So, like, we had a few things that were different, but it was still that sort of that isolation and being just unhappy in our relationship. But she also knew that financially it was best for her to stay, and her kids were growing. They were, in college and at the time, high school and college at the time that she and I were talking about it. So I feel like we could offer a little bit of support without it being, oh, just pack up the kids and leave. Because she knew what it was like to be kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great answer. If you could go back to the beginning, what would you do differently? This questionnaire is not specific about what the beginning means. So let's say when we were in college and dating, would you have seen red flags and run the other way? Kind of take the question from there.
I wonder if I can take the knowledge that I have now.
I think that's implied. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back, what would you do differently?
I don't know. That's tough because I think what an opportunity I would have missed had I turned my heels and left and not continued to have a relationship with you. I think that if it was when we were first out of college and living together and starting our careers, I know that I had kind of said to you, I don't know why you don't drink when we're just in social. Like, why do you need drinks at home? I wish I would have been more secure in knowing my sense of self and I could have said, this isn't what I want in the home that I'm living in. I know we both live here, and there are times where you were earning more money than I was, most of the time, I should say. But maybe I would have been more confident in saying, this isn't what I'm wanting in my life. And
Adios.
yeah. And like, if you want to continue to have a relationship with me and you still want to go forward with this relationship, we're going to have to figure out the drinking situation, you know? Yeah, it's hard to say.
I think what's really interesting about that answer is I think that is increasingly what's happening now. You and I, Gen X, we kind of straddle a more traditional environment that we grew up in, a Archie Bunker, father knows best kind of thing. Why are you laughing?
Because those are such, like, hardly anybody
who is
our generation even knows those. Like, we kind of hear the...
Very patriarchal.
Yeah.
That's a word that
yes,
people younger than us will know.
Yeah.
So we grew up in that environment, and we definitely there are traditional aspects to our relationship and our family, but we still honor, respect, value, and think it's critical that all be left to the history books. And so I think younger people in younger generations, people who are entering adulthood now, I think the non-drinker, who is typically a woman, but not necessarily, I shouldn't say non-drinker, the non-problematic drinker, that's a better way to say it, is typically a female and is just more conditioned to demand more for herself, demand respect. So the thing that you're saying now, gosh, maybe I would have said, I'm not going to live in an environment where you just drink every night after work and it has nothing to do with being social. Maybe that's the kind of thing that is being said now. And so when there's all this publicity and this media coverage now, even President Obama talked recently on his wife's podcast about the struggle of young men these days. I think a lot of it is self-inflicted, and it's because women are increasingly standing up for wanting to live the values that they say they have. And if the men can't do that, then they don't need the men. And so what you're saying you would do if you went back to the beginning is what I think is happening more and more in our society.
Well, and I hope that there are conversations about it instead of just the partner who's unhappy leaving the situation without trying to have some conversation and say, this isn't what I'm looking for. Because, like, I just think about like a person who is dissatisfied with a shopping experience, and I'm like, when we owned the bakery, we'd be like, that customer was a really loyal customer for a while, and then they're just gone, and we never
no
see
feedback.
them. Like, did something bad happen? Because that's how most of the time people are. They don't leave a negative reply. They don't come back and say, hey, this was a really crappy loaf of bread. Because we had scenarios where we had some problems with some product and we didn't know, and it was just keep happening. So instead of, we would have enjoyed the feedback, we would have like given them money back to help them. So I hope if young women today are saying, these are the standards that I need to live in with this relationship, I hope there's a conversation about it instead of just the up and leaving and it's not working anymore kind of conversation. So it gives them the young male feedback to grow on. Because I think it is a problem. I think that, yes, our generation kind of was in between that. I mean, we had the early 70s with the women's lib, but still women weren't earning money like that. Still women were not in higher education. There was still a lot of patriarchal things that even though there was the ERA, it didn't matter. Like, there wasn't progress being made. So now in today's society with, the many opportunities that both genders have to earn income and hopefully make a living in their cities. Hopefully there's conversations about it. So then there can be growth. for both parties. And if it didn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Yeah. No, good points. Yeah, I think we were too poisoned to fully stand up from ourselves, too poisoned from drinking out of the garden hose. The thing that is most connected to the forgotten generation, us Gen Xers.
Yeah. Well, and I think I just kind of had this idyllic sort of thing because I didn't grow up with a non-working mother, single working mom. You know, I was like, I didn't want to be that traditional, but when we did decide to have children, because I had been the holdout, I did want to be able to be with them a lot more than what my mom was able to be with.
Yeah.
So.
Which has worked out.
Yeah.
Of all the things that went south, that one has worked out.
Yeah, so I think I also put up with more to try to attain what I was thinking I wanted.
Sheri, I want to get 2 more questions in. Let's kind of rapid fire them.
Oh, wow.
As we've been talking for quite a while here. How do you walk the fine line of talking honestly to your kids about their dad's alcoholism without turning him into a monster?
Well, the lucky thing is our kids are older, like if it was to be now. Well, I think we use a lot of like words like it's a disease, it's out of his control, something's going on in his brain. Like I used words like and phrases like that, so it wasn't just like, you know, dad is angry drinking. You know, and I would say things like, well, he thinks it makes him feel better, but then it makes him not feel better in the long run because he could have too much, like sugar. You can feel really good eating a piece of cake, but if you ate 10 pieces of cake, you get sick. And that's like, I remember saying that one time to our youngest, who's now a sophomore in high school. And remember, you've been sober and working on this like for most of his life now, for the good portion of his memorable life.
To give you credit, you have talked about how alcohol changes both people, and it made you say things that you now maybe regret, or maybe you regretted in the moment. It made you fly off the handle and say mean things.
Maybe short or putting them in front of the TV.
I feel like for the most part, you were able to keep that reined in around the kids. Like you didn't ever just lose your shit and say, you know why I'm mad? Because your dad's a fucking asshole. That's why I'm mad. I don't think like. Maybe you did that once in a while, but I don't think you did, or not very often.
No, I wouldn't say that it was drinking. I mean, sometimes there would be times that I would cry, like, you know, like when you had gone to work and they were home, and I'd be like, your dad and I just aren't getting along right now. But, you know, I'm a good stuffer, so.
Well, I think you also did it.
But I didn't want to hurt them, and I didn't want them.
Kids.
Right, and I mean, there were times that my mom used. You know, would call my dad a drunk. That was her favorite. He's just a drunk. Like that was her favorite thing to do. And
well, they were divorced, so a different level of like you had a higher level of trying to maintain composure because it would reflect poorly on you if he's just a drunk. Oh, and I've decided to stay married to him. Yeah. That looks badly on you, right?
Yeah. So I never wanted to use words like that. I never wanted to really paint you as this bad guy. I wanted them to be aware, and so maybe it was an unintentional, like when you see more than that many beers go around in his hand, or if you see him beer around him, you might want to proceed with caution when you're with him.
Sheri, how did you navigate the highs and lows after sobriety? Were there still the behaviors of emotional immaturity after sobriety for a few years, or all the years, if you prefer to say?
That one, well, thanks for ending on a hard one. I guess maybe understanding it's not emotional immaturity now, but it's maybe your playfulness.
It's just who I am.
Yeah. Because I think you're very mature in a lot of ways, but you are more playful and more comfortable with just saying whatever in front of whoever. But knowing that you're not doing it when you're drunk, then I'm more accepting of like, oh, well, this is just who he is. But there was a tough road in early sobriety and in that first few years of us navigating the relationship, and a lot of it was figuring out whether or not I liked you or not, and you also needing to figure out if you liked me.
How about the old, all right, I got sober, but now you got to clean up your shit, that kind of a thing. Like, that seems to me an emotional immaturity. I'll get sober, but I'm not going to take all the accountability. That's emotional immaturity.
Yeah, that was tough. And when it came to our sexual past and sexual like recovery, that was hard. To really take ownership of, but I had been traumatized by the sex we had had and our sexual relationship in the drinking days, that I had to like kind of re-educate myself, and I had to be open to not necessarily take criticism, but be open to learn and explore like what was going on with me that made me withhold and made me feel uncomfortable and tense. So that was one pushback, I feel like, in the sobriety days, that I really hated you a lot of the times for talking about it.
Well, Sheri, I think we should end there because I'm just not comfortable talking about sex all the time. You always want to bring sex into our conversation. Just sex. So let's end there. Did you hear things today that you relate to? Did this conversation resonate for you? If the answer is yes, then I'm sure there is someone in your orbit who could benefit from this conversation too. One of the very best things you can do for your healing is to become part of the solution. Crush the stigma. Participate in the conversation. Maybe you aren't ready to join one of our groups, but that doesn't mean you can't be involved in a meaningful way. All we are asking is this. Please share this episode with one person. Copy the link and send a text or email. Put it on your social media. Be bold. Claim the sense of belonging you deserve. Just one share. Thank you for listening to the Untoxicated Podcast. You've got this, and we've got you.